Ladies and gentlemen, the show we've all been waiting for. Paranormal Buzz Radio is proud to present REP Paranormal and Friends with your hosts, Kim Purvis and Allison Robinson. Live every Thursday night on Spreaker, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Be sure to check out their Facebook page, REP Paranormal Busters.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have a couple special guests. We have Seth and Jesse from CCPI. So welcome, guys.
Hey, glad to be here. Yes, thanks for having us, guys.
Hey, yeah, no problem. All right, so let's just get started. I want both of you, I don't care who goes first, but just kind of tell us how you got started with Bigfoot, or how did you guys become interested in that?
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and start, Seth.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, to be completely honest, we kind of found our way into Bigfoot through ghost hunting, and we just started to dive in more deeply into different realms of paranormal, not just ghosts, and Seth was actually the one that started to research more of the Bigfoot lore in the area that we used to live in. And I was a complete and utter skeptic. I didn't believe it. I thought it was bullcrap. And so then he's like, well, let's just, there's some activity down by this little creek bed. Let's go check it out and see what happens. And fast forward, and we're in the middle of the woods at one night, and I see what I believe to be a Sasquatch standing right in front of me. And ever since then, it's just been kind of a climbing interest of ours. We don't really ghost hunt anymore, especially as CCPI, and we are now fully focused on Bigfoot. So that's kind of the introduction for it.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and it's pretty much exactly what Jesse said. I mean, I used to watch all the, Monster Quest on TV, and I always watch these claims of Sasquatch, and it always just really intrigued me, but I just kind of always thought, they're mistaking it for this or mistaken for that. So like he said, I started researching in the town, Cedar Falls and Waterloo that we were living, and found this story from the 70s of a guy seeing a squatch down by a river or a creek, and I was like, all right, let's just check this out. And so we went out, and like Jess said, we started getting followed by something. We could hear something large walking around, and then we came to this like creek, and we couldn't cross it. And I kind of split off, and then all of a sudden I just hear Jesse about 2 minutes later yelling, "There's a Bigfoot across the way!" So we're like scrambling, and this thing takes off running, and we can just hear it like. It's like a truck driving through the trees, and it's just running through the trees, and we're just somehow, for some reason, not even thinking, we're just running after it. we want to see what the heck this thing is,
right?
And then a couple days after that, myself and another buddy of mine went out looking again. It was during the daytime, and we found our first, and I always say our best tracks to date. Bigfoot tracks, literally in the middle of the most dense part of these woods. We found tracks that were bigger than my foot, and I wear a size 13, and I have a very wide foot, and my foot could fit comfortably inside this track, and it was like an inch deep into the ground, too. and it was like a whole set of them. And ever since then, it's just been off to the races. And then just over a year ago, we really decided to take our team full bore after Squatch. So that's kind of the history of
it. All right, Darren already has a question here.
Absolutely.
So let me get back to it here. I got it. Oh, yeah. Good thinking, Kim. Kim wrote it down. Okay, he wants to know what the average size of Bigfoot is.
The average size is probably around 8 foot tall, 8 to 9 foot tall.
Okay.
That's typically the sightings that are talked about. There have been sightings where people have seen them that are up to 12, 13 feet. And then there's also smaller sightings of like 5 to 6 feet, and then you've got your baby squatch too that people see.
Oh, you said babies?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's actually, where I'm living right now in New York, the Catskill Mountains, which is just like a 15-minute drive from here. There's a video online that someone was taking while they're up in those mountains, and you can see in the background this huge thing walking through the trees, and it seems to have a lump on its like shoulder, and also that lump stands up, and it's this little like monkey type thing, and it's jumping up into the trees and climbing through the tree limbs, and that's said to be one of the best video evidence of a baby squatch. But yeah, people see baby squatch often.
Oh wow, that's nuts.
Yeah, as well as elderly squatch as well.
Yeah, and they're usually gray.
They're gray? Oh, okay.
Yep. So they age seemingly like us.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. I just thought there was just one size. I had no clue.
Well,
I was like, how do they get to be that size? You know, I have no idea.
She's blonde.
I am blonde, but I'm just saying, you've never really seen anything with it, or...
Yeah, that's the common misconception about Bigfoot and stuff. Like, a lot of people will say, oh, there's more than one? And it's like, oh, yeah. It's like a whole race, like a whole, species. Yeah. And the common thought is there's around 3,000 in the United States.
Oh, wow.
And the more and more people see and the more research that's done, it's seemingly it's like the human race. They look different than one another. They have different features, different colors, different sizes. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Wow. Yeah, that kind of ties in with Darren's question. He wanted to know how many different breeds.
And honestly, I don't know that. I can't answer that, but I do know that there are a lot of different kinds out there. It's almost like races, like we are.
Oh, okay.
Everybody has a different look
and regional as well. You go into the Arctic, you're going to find ones that are more like your polar bear. It's going to be camouflaged more to fit its environment. Swamp apes are going to look different in Florida than a Sasquatch is going to look in Waterloo, Iowa, just because it's a different environment, it's a different region, and they have evolved to live in their climates just like human beings do. So.
Oh, very nice. Okay, so yeah, I got a couple more questions here.
Yep.
Let's see. Darren again wants. He wants to know if you use a special calling device.
No, we do not. I am actually the caller on the team.
Okay.
And Seth recently, especially when we were filming for Squatch, Iowa, Seth started to practice his calls as well. And it's just, when we started getting into Bigfoot, we just would find as many possible audio clips that people claim to have been Sasquatch, and just tried to mimic those as closely as possible. And just this year alone, I found in some research where a person had been studying the audible calls of a Bigfoot since the 70s, and said that he was able to kind of dictate exactly what they were saying. Like, this tone meant it was being aggressive, or this tone meant it was alone and seeking its pack, and things like that. So then we've been trying to be a little bit more trying to figure out the right call to make and not make the wrong call. Because, like, I don't want to make an aggressive call when we're out hunting.
Oh, yeah.
Because then they might come aggressively at us. Or I don't want to make a call that's, you know, telling something to leave when we're trying to draw them in. And so just trying to practice within ourselves to make those calls is how we go about doing it on our hunts.
Okay, very nice. Oh, let's see here. Shay's got a question here for you. She wants to know, what do you think they are? Animal, part human, interdimensional, etc.?
Oh, boy. That's a loaded question.
So it's so crazy because there's evidence for all sides. At least I wouldn't say evidence, but I would say sightings, people's run-ins, and I can say from our experience, we've ran into what it just seems it's an animal and it's its territory, and then I've also ran into the supernatural side where I to this day believe I saw a cloaking Bigfoot.
Yep.
Wow.
I don't know, for those that have seen the movie Predator or are aware of Predator,
yep.
when he's invisible, you can kind of just see that shimmer of him.
Yep.
And that's what I saw in the woods.
Oh, wow.
It was after we were hearing noises, and all of a sudden I could see this massive figure, but it was like I could see through it. And at first instinct, I thought it was a ghost. But then after we put a bunch of stuff that was happening together, it kind of seemingly was coming off to me as a cloaking Bigfoot, which is something that a lot of people have witnessed, is Bigfoots will disappear in front of their eyes. There's been hunters who've watched them literally walk out of portals. But then you've got your sightings and evidence that shows that they're just animals. So I have no idea. I can't even give you a solid answer on that. I can't even say this is what I think, because it's still something we're working on. But and I will say this. I usually say this at the beginning of a podcast, but we are not experts by any means. And this is just what we've discovered over the years.
Yeah.
I know some people love to put the stamp like, "Oh, I'm an expert," and no, there's no scientific proof of this thing, so no one's an expert on this thing.
Right.
So this is just the knowledge that we have of it. And so I always like to put that out there.
That's all right. No worries. Okay, so Shay wants to know if you can do the call.
Yeah, it's probably going to be pretty loud.
That's all right.
I'll back that up just a hair.
Okay, I'll pull the microphone away, and I'll whip one off for you.
Okay.
And so that call would be one that would be to say, "Hey, I'm here, and this is my location, and I'm calling them in."
Okay.
And so it's just your basic howl, really. The thing about it is kind of the inflection of coming into it and cutting it off is what we found, that we've actually gotten direct responses from areas where we've hunted. So, and there's some that I would probably blow speakers with and scare the crap out of my wife in the other room if I lit one off. But it's a very loud, kind of a raspy scream, and that is more of a call to, "Hey, I'm in trouble," or "Hey, I'm in a situation where I need assistance," and you're going to get more of a heated response from the surrounding Sasquatch. Are we still good? Are we still connected?
We're still connected.
Okay.
We are still connected. We're just listening. Oh, let's see here. I think we got another one.
I think it was Darren.
Darren has another one?
Well.
Okay, I found it. All right, so Darren has another question.
Okay.
If you caught a Bigfoot, what would you do with it and why?
Oh boy.
Darren likes those. What would you do and why?
Oh yeah.
So you go ahead first, Seth.
So if we caught a Bigfoot, so what I would do first, this is just a wild thing saying that if we ever caught one, I would first take as much documentation of it, and then I would hand it off to as many hands as possible. Because people are going to start disappearing. I'm letting you know. Absolutely. So I'm going to get that evidence split up like as much as possible. So I'm going to take as much video and photographic evidence of this thing. I'm going to take pieces of it. Like if it's dead, if it's alive, I don't even know if I'm going to try to keep it. I just want to. My biggest thing is I want the best videographic and photographic evidence of this thing.
Oh, right.
If it's dead, then I'm going to take big samples of it, and like I said, disperse it to as many people I trust as I can, and then probably bury it somewhere or keep it somewhere I only know, and slowly release stuff. Because like I said, both of us truly believe if we found one and came out with it publicly, either something would happen to us or something, because we think there's some sort of cover-up going on with these Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so to piggyback on that,
yeah, go ahead, Jess.
For me, like Seth said, I would prefer to find one that was not alive, because we oftentimes talk about what would we actually do if we stood face to face with a Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. And although we, in a way, did and we chased after it, it's truly one of those things where I think by case you don't necessarily know what you would do until you're in that moment. Mm-hmm. And so if we found one that was say deceased, like Seth said, I would go through every possible way to document that it's not a costume, it's not a mannequin, that it's a legitimate creature. And again, just being very cautious about, okay, how do we go about releasing this information? Be very cautious about it, be very careful. Because if we just bring a Facebook Live and start broadcasting, that could turn into a massive media laugh fest. And that's not what we want. We're not in it to do that. Like, we want to be able to find a legitimate reason that this is real possibility that it's a Sasquatch before we say, hey, everybody on social media and the internet, look what we found. And so contacting, colleges and labs and trying to do as many tests as we could. And then once we had some definitive evidence that, listen, this is completely unidentifiable, we can't figure out where the species is from, what it's related to, then it's like, okay, we have some ground here, we have some stuff to sink our teeth into, now let's move forward and release to the world that, yes, indeed, there is finally proof that Bigfoot exists.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a special message for you from Chris. Seth? He thinks you're sexy, and he said next time you come back, he's going to spoon you.
Oh, lucky Seth. Oh, man, I'm excited. Thank you, Chris. I look forward to that. Obviously, you didn't have to deliver that message because we knew that was going to happen. Christopher. Oh, that was good. That's good. I like it.
You got any questions on yours?
Yeah. Let's see what I got here.
Well, let's see. And he says, Jesse, you can join too. He'll share.
Do I get to be the big spoon or the little spoon?
Oh my gosh.
Chris is always little spoon.
Oh my gosh. That's too funny. Okay, so I watched your video when you guys were at Jester Park.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
I'm sorry, you cut out. I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I said, can you talk a little bit about it, Jester Park?
Yeah. That video, I'm trying. That's the one where we went live. The audio's kind of crappy on it.
Yeah, and it was like snowing.
Yep. That was a wild night. That was really good. There's definitely a lot of stuff that happened that night. Stuff that we're kind of keeping a little under wraps because it's going to be in our documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
But I will say there was one point in that we had like Native American music playing, and we literally all three of us, and one of our guys is a former combat vet, and we are literally all extremely freaked out and super tense because we feel like we're getting surrounded, and we could hear like twigs snapping around us and footsteps and movement, and once we shut off the music, it all just stopped. And that was something that we have never really experienced before, and that was something different. That was a little freaky.
Yeah, totally.
It was something really cool to see how that music like drew them in. Because like there's a lot of Native American lore with Sasquatch, and that's where the name Sasquatch comes from, is Native Americans. And so that night, that was insane, just because it was, like you said, it was snowing, but it was like super calm, and so we could hear everything. And there was not one animal sound that night except a couple owls. It was so quiet and so just still. And that's a lot of the times, if you talk to somebody who's had a Bigfoot experience, they're going to tell you that the woods just go silent. And that's usually when something happens. And that whole entire night we were in Jester, it was silence.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of the night, I had one of my most distinct, we'll just say, interactions, which you'll see us go in depth on our documentary.
Right.
But that was it was an insanely weird, crazy experience, and I can't wait to show it to everybody because we caught it on camera.
And the reason that we got interested in Jester Park is because of our teammate Alan that was with us that night. He was out fishing at Jester Park early in the morning, all by himself. He would usually start fishing at 4:30 in the morning, and so not a whole lot of traffic going through there at all in the morning at that time. And that's when he actually had his very first Bigfoot sighting. And obviously we talked way more in depth, detailed about his experience on our documentary. But because of that experience that he had, we knew that we needed to take that area more seriously, and that's when we started to dive in and really do some Bigfoot hunting. And one thing that we kind of find with our investigations is we tend to have a lot of confusion in a way, to the sense of where we get a loss of direction, or things like that, or we can start to miscommunicate. And that happened the night that I had my very first experience. It's happened other times at other locations, and it happened at Jester Park as well. The very first time we went there, so it would have been probably a couple months before we did live, we were there, and we were walking through this area, and the water was kind of flowing through it, and there was very distinct characteristics about the area that we were hunting. And we went back, I don't know, maybe a week or so later to go to that exact same area, and it was completely different. And we still don't quite understand how we were in an area that looks so drastically different when we went to the exact same area again a couple weeks later. So that's where it starts to dip into kind of the supernatural, portal, kind of weird interdimensional being side of Sasquatches. Okay, is it kind of blurring the lines between different dimensions when you're having these really close encounters with them? Or are we just losing our minds and blanking out during certain parts of our traveling through the woods or whatever? So that's some of the things that we've experienced there at Jester.
Yeah, that was
to go on that Jester thing what Jesse was talking about is so the first time we went down in this area, we literally found this, like, it was like a little pond almost from all the flooding that was there. And it literally took us, I don't know, it was probably 45 minutes to get from one end to the other end of where we stopped. And then myself and my wife went out there literally like not even a week. It wasn't even a week later. And I was like, I want to show you this like flooded pond area and show you where we hunted. And it was in the daytime. We go down there. That pond is not there. I cannot find it. I went back and forth. And from start to finish, it took me 10 minutes, not 45. And so that was like, I literally still to this day have no idea what happened. How it was almost like there was an extra part of land that we were all hunting on, and then that weekend when I went out with my wife, it was gone.
Oh wow!
So it's so weird, like the weird crap that we run into when we're squatching. It's like it's not even just the squatch; it's the stuff that's happening around us, and that's where you tend start leaning towards the supernatural, like Jesse said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, super weird. Weird.
That kind of ties into Darren's question. He wants to know, do you think that Bigfoot is another form of an alien body?
See, that's tough. I'm not a big alien believer. I've seen some UFOs, I've seen some weird crap, but I think that Bigfoot is some sort of interdimensional beast. If it is supernatural, it's some sort of interdimensional thing, or we're Christians and we're big Bible believers, and they talk about the Nephilim in the beginning of the Bible, and they're a mix of fallen angels and humans, and they're big, they're large. And it never talks about, like, oh, the Nephilim went extinct or anything. So part of us thinks that maybe it has something to do with, like, Nephilim ancestors or something like that. Absolutely. I don't know. Yeah. But I definitely agree with what he's saying with the alien stuff. If you believe in aliens, it makes a lot of sense. Because often in the same area that you're having squatch activity, you're having alien activity. I had an investigation in a few weeks or a few months ago, and I saw what looked like a Bigfoot, and then later on I seen a UFO in the same area. So yeah, it's definitely correlates.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know. I can't tell you, but I can definitely see the correlation there.
I do have a question though, if you can answer it, about when you saw the sticks that were stacked, but they were like stacked differently in different areas.
Yeah.
Why did they do that?
Typically, that is what it's believed to be a form of communication. And it's a marker like, hey, obviously we don't know what it's saying, but it's usually like, we're going this way, or I've been here. A lot of the ones we've run into out in Iowa are smaller, but if you go out to like the Pacific Northwest in Canada, there's just massive ones. There's like these huge teepees built in the middle of nowhere and stuff like that. So what we've found, we think is related to that. And it's usually some sort of marker that is like, hey, come this way, go that way. Or it's also, some believe it's like a memorial. Like there's one buried there, or there's someone died here. For example, we were at an investigation last year where we found a really big, massive pile of sticks all stacked and intertwined with each other. And every time we approach these sticks, something would happen down the way, like to distract us away from there. Yeah, like the first time we walked up to it, we heard massive tree knocks. And then we're like, okay, that triggered that. Let's try to go back again. So we went back up there, and also we get like one of the most terrifying screams I've ever heard in my entire life. pop off right after we try to go back up to these sticks.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very sensitive about it. So, like I said, it's memorial, it's a marker, it's some sort of communication.
Okay.
Yeah, it could even mean stay out, stay away, don't cross this boundary line. You know, sometimes it seems like we'll find them on the outer edge of a line of forest or line of trees, and it's almost saying like either follow this line to stay out of sight or don't go past this point. So we've heard that Boy Scouts have in the past made these in certain areas. So we've reached out to people to see if this is something that they do. We've heard from one person that they said, yeah, that's what we do, but we haven't actually spoken to a Boy Scout representative. And we've tried to figure it out and tried to ask questions, but we just don't get any responses. And so, again, it's curious enough, mysterious enough to look into, and it's evident enough in Bigfoot areas to take seriously. But there is definitely some areas where you could look and say, well, it could be human contamination that's causing, the sticks to come out and do this. But again, like with everything Bigfoot, it's you just don't know entirely, and so you just kind of have to keep searching and keep looking for answers.
Well, like the paranormal, you keep looking and searching for the answers.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Darren has another question. He wants to know if there's any in Wisconsin.
Oh boy, there's lots of them in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
They're all hanging out with the werewolves up there. Wisconsin, man. Wisconsin's a hotbed for all kinds of whack crypto activity. Yeah, there's definitely Bigfoot and werewolves up there for sure.
We are believers that Bigfoot is in every state because, as most people know, Bigfoot as the king champion of hide and seek. There's plenty of ways to get from point A to point B, which would seem wide out in the open, but like cornfields, bean fields, ditches with long grass. Like there's plenty of things to be camouflaged in or amongst to get where they need to go. And so unless you're looking at a barren desert, to me there's a possibility that you're going to come across some sort of a Sasquatch-style activity no matter where you're at.
Well, and that's the thing, too, about, like, the Midwest is Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois. People laugh, like, and in Nebraska, too. People laugh, they scoff at, like, oh, you're a Bigfoot hunter in Iowa? And it's like, they're not just in the mountains, like, on both edges of the United States. I mean, the BFRO is 70, I think it's like 75 documented reports, and that's just documented by them since the 70s in Iowa. 75. That's not like counting the people like us who've never reported it to them. So they're alive and well, and they just adapt. They learn to live in that area. Of course, the places with the vast wildernesses and like up in here in New York, I think ranks like number 5 in the United States. But there's so much wilderness up here. And there's been 1,200 sightings or something like that.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah. And that's just in New York. And then, like I said, Iowa, yeah, it's only 78, but it's 78 sightings.
Yeah, that's still fun. Yeah, exactly.
And
my
recommendation...
Oh, go ahead, Zach.
I was just going to say, we talked to a guy at the HauntCon, and he witnessed Bigfoot 3 or 4 times down by Council Bluffs, and he's never reported it to BFRO. So that's 78 that's been reported. How many have not been reported,
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
Very true.
in my response to, you said his name is Darren?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Darren, if you are interested in looking for Bigfoot, or curious if there's Bigfoot in your area, obviously the best asset to use is the internet. Just start Googling Wisconsin Bigfoot activity. But as far as locations and recommendations for that, if you're just curious about going out in the middle of the woods and seeing if you can catch some activity, find an area that has some woods, a body of water, and seems to be a good habitat for either deer or other kinds of wildlife. And I would be surprised if you didn't come away at some point in time, not necessarily right away, but at some point in time, that you came away with some interesting experiences that would maybe lead you to want to dig deeper to see if it could be Sasquatch. Because that's what we have noticed is along riverbeds, and like we have a big river that goes right up through Iowa from the Des Moines area where Seth used to live and where I still live. And there's just Bigfoot activity that crawls up that riverbed. And so you're finding where deer graze or where other animals graze and things like that with wooded areas along them is where you do find some really strong activity and strong presence of activity.
All right. So there you go, Darren. Go look for some Squatch.
We're surrounded by timber.
Yeah, we are.
Well, get out there.
That's awesome.
I just don't like the coyotes that I hear every night up there.
Yeah.
That is fair.
Yeah, there's quite a few. Let's see, what else do I have here? I think everybody's been answering them already. Okay, so go ahead and just kind of give a little plug. I know you've been plugging a little bit, but your documentary that you have coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's called Squatch, Iowa, and this we call it kind of a sequel of sorts because we first released our film Haunted Iowa back in 2011, and our whole goal with that was to show, hey everybody, Iowa's haunted. This place has got a lot of good activity because at that time there wasn't a lot of teams, a lot of TV shows. Nobody would blink an eye at Iowa.
Right.
So we decided to make Squatch, Iowa, and that was, it's like because again, I was like we were saying, we get scoffed at and laughed at because you guys are seeing Squatch in the cornfield, like this is stupid. And it's like no, this is real. And there's a lot of people that have experienced it, not just us, and they don't, a lot of people don't want to even talk about it because they're, they think it's dumb, they're going to get laughed at. So we're going to show people that there's activity out here. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we set out a year ago to start filming and talking to witnesses and checking out the locations. And we really did have some good stuff along the way. We hit all corners of of Iowa, and we finished filming just this past June, and so now I'm in post-production right now, getting it all put together. Mm-hmm. Still hoping for a late fall release, if everything goes in. But yeah, it's gonna be. We can't wait to show it. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
I can't wait.
Let's see. Shay said that if she went out looking for Bigfoot, she'd find a bear.
Yeah, plenty of areas where you definitely encounter that along the way.
That is what I'm scared about up here in New York going squatching. There's all kinds of bears. Oh yeah. I understand that.
Okay, this is kind of off topic, but I'm supposed to ask you this anyway, Seth.
Yes.
What happened to you when you got hit by a huge wave in the ocean?
Oh my gosh. Let me guess, Chris.
Yeah, you got it.
I was completely destroyed by a wave about 3 years ago. And it was caught on video, and he constantly reminds me of it when we're together. It is probably one of the greatest videos on the internet, though. Absolutely great. I'm giving a thumbs up, yeah, I'm in the ocean, it's awesome, and then I just get laid out.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that.
Gotta love Chris.
Oh yeah, of course. Everybody loves Chris.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He said you got crushed.
I did. I really did.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Anybody else out there got any more questions you want to ask them?
Darren says thanks for answering his questions.
Oh yeah, man,
Absolutely, man.
I have a question. Are they omnivores?
They are carnivores.
Yes, carnivores.
Carnivores?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are omnivores too. I mean, they obviously they'll eat like berries and plants and stuff, but they eat deer. We've seen some interesting stuff of like deer carcasses laying in woods and coming back like not long. They are literally ripped apart, and it could be coyotes. I'm not saying it couldn't be, but literally everything is picked off of them, bones snapped in half, like just crazy stuff. People have witnessed them chasing down deer.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, they're definitely carnivores.
Oh, okay. Let's see here.
And that also, yep.
Shay wants to know how long you've been doing this.
We pretty much started diving in 10 years ago. That's when we had the experience in Waterloo. And then we took our team full bore just over a year ago. But yeah, we've been dabbling for 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very
been in
nice.
the paranormal officially since 2005, and did very serious ghost hunting for the better part of 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I stepped away from ghost hunting in 2013, and then came back to the team last year when we went 100% Sasquatch. So.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Darren has another question.
Yeah.
He wants to know if they eat humans.
If they do, we don't know who.
Yeah, exactly. That is actually a really good question, and I don't know. I would not doubt it. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
But they have been very noted to be aggressive towards humans.
Uh-huh.
But there isn't any cases that I can think of off my head that people have actually been hurt. Well, I take that back. Actually, we were just filming out at Sailorville Lake in north of Des Moines.
Yep.
And we were talking to the park rangers because they were asking us what we're doing. We were telling them, and they're like, okay. And I said, you ever heard of Bigfoot activity out here? And he's like, oh, no. And he's like, all I've ever heard of is the legend of this one area. It's some ridge. And I was like, oh, what's that? He goes, oh, some guy in the 60s come crawling out of a ditch up to a car, and he was missing his left arm. And he said, I need help. A monster just ripped my arm off. And he literally described it as this large monster.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, okay, that's Bigfoot to me. we've had a lot of activity, and there's been lots of sightings of Bigfoot out in Sailorville. So they're like, yeah, I've never heard of any Bigfoot, but this guy had his arm ripped off by a huge monster.
Oh my gosh.
So that is one story I've heard where someone literally got very hurt. But there is a lot of areas that have more aggressive Squatch than others. Down in Florida, Texas, they're seemingly very aggressive down there. There was a story I heard, eyewitness in Iowa, actually. I can't remember the town. It's just like east of Villisca, I think. And some guy reported seeing like a 12-foot tall Bigfoot that was screaming and growling and just absolutely terrifying.
Oh my
so
gosh.
I wouldn't put it past them, but it's not been heard of. And I got one other story if you want to hear it that's really creepy that might say that they're cannibalistic too.
Oh wow.
There's a hunter, and I can't remember where I read this, but he was a very trusted source, and he said that some of his animals in this pasture near these woods were getting attacked. So he went down there, and he saw a Bigfoot, and so he shot at it. and he hit it. He hit it like in the shoulder, I think. And the Squatch like runs off, just screaming to high heavens. And he runs. The hunter watches this Bigfoot run into this stream, and he sits down, and he's just screaming and yelling and making all this hoopla over his shot wound. All of a sudden, the hunter watches 3 other Bigfoot come out of the trees.
Oh, wow.
And one of them runs full bore and just clocks the shot Bigfoot upside the head and knocks him out.
Oh my gosh.
And then they all 3 Bigfoot just start ripping him apart, ripping the wounded Bigfoot apart. They rip his arms, his legs, everything. And the Bigfoot who hit him picks up his skull and I think his arm, one or something, walks over to a tree and just starts bashing it against the tree and makes it into a mush. And then he just starts eating it.
Oh my gosh.
So,
what the heck?
Yeah, like that's still the most terrifying Bigfoot encounter I've ever heard.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I literally bashed this thing's limbs into a tree, into mush, and then just started eating it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there is some weird stuff out there that I don't know. And like I said, it's like the human race. They people say that there's mentally handicapped Bigfoot. There's other Bigfoot that don't understand what's going on. There's very smart Bigfoot. It's like a vast thing. It's just like human beings.
Oh
and
my
so
gosh.
who knows what those were into? I don't know if that's a common thing, but yeah, still one of the most scary stories I've ever read.
They said Sailorville Lake, we're going to have to stay with my cousin. She only lives a mile away from where it's wooded area near Sailorville. We might have to go check it out.
Absolutely.
That'd be fun.
Awesome. Yes,
I'd probably pee myself, though, if I came across one.
Honestly, I don't think there's been a single time that we have gone out to Sailorville looking for Bigfoot and not come away with some sort of an experience.
Oh, wow.
Every single time we come away with something.
There was one time
that's actually where we experienced an elderly Bigfoot. I actually saw an elderly Bigfoot on a bike trail near the Cherry Glen campground by Sailorville.
Oh my!
And it was probably about 6.5 feet tall, but it was running away from the scene, and it was running as if it was like a 4-legged animal. So it had dropped down onto all fours and was running using all 4 of its appendages. And then we ended up seeing another Bigfoot off in the distance, and it was crazy, but that's the first time we ever came across the Sasquatch experience that had a different color than brown or black.
That's interesting.
Yeah, Shay said on your story, she says, is that why you don't find no bodies? Because they're eating them.
That's possible.
Highly believed. Yeah, and that made me start thinking that hey, they just eat these things, or there's all the widely belief is that they bury them too.
Yeah. Yeah, but who knows? Like maybe the Sasquatch going into the river and screaming is a reaction for them to call in other Bigfoot to dispose of their body, because he's like, I'm shot, I'm injured, I'm not going to live through this, and we need to be hidden. And it's so ingrained into the core of their existence that they just are reactive and they just get rid of any evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, or the fact that he was screaming and being so crazy that they didn't want that. And it goes same idea though. They want to be hidden. That's the thing. I think they know. Like people don't really think about that, but Bigfoot want to stay hidden. And yeah, they wander, and there's a lot of curious ones. But the general consensus is they want to stay hidden, and so they are going to dispose of those bodies somehow because they don't want people to find them. Yep. And then if you don't go to that height, if you just go to a general animal, how many times does someone go walking in the woods and find a bear carcass? How many times do you go into the woods and find a big cat carcass? You don't.
No,
you don't.
You don't do that. You rarely find a deer carcass, and there's millions of deer out there. And so, yeah, it's even if they're not burying them, like they're so small amounts and they're very smart. They're gonna hide themselves. They're somewhere and they're gonna just die. You know, they know they're gonna die or whatever. But yeah, it's a Bigfoot is a huge, wide, deep mystery that goes far beyond a lot of people's basic conception of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you want to send your mind on a trip, research Bigfoot. It's as simple as that. You will find yourself reading about things and hypotheses and all this stuff that is like, holy crap, my mind would have never gone there.
Yeah. So Shay wants to know, do they like live in packs?
Yeah.
That's its belief, yes.
Yep. And I'll say the night that we saw the elderly one out at Sailorville, we were with a former member of CCPI who is very sensitive to the paranormal. Anytime we did a ghost hunt, he was having very personal interactions, whether emotionally, physically. You know, he was just very receptive to all of it. And we were wandering around an area that we watched the Bigfoot go off to, and we found some very strange footsteps. And with you ladies being paranormal investigators, you'll know that our body is one of our greatest tools, our greatest assets when we're doing these things. And when your hair stands up on end, it's your body's reacting to something. And we were starting to make our way down a hill, and he just grabbed me, and he's like, dude, I know you can't see it, but I can just tell that there's a family of Bigfoot that live at the base of this hill. And so we thought that was really interesting, and so we started to dive in and research that more and see if there's other experiences. And the ravaging Bigfoot that Seth mentioned in Iowa, where the 12-foot Bigfoot was just screaming, she was actually sheltering her baby from this man and was just viciously approaching this guy as a protection method of her baby. And it was very visible that it was a small version of what we know as Sasquatch. And we believe that there's definitely family packs. There's definitely ones that would be known as a loner that's just off on its own. And there's adolescents, and there's all sorts of age ranges as well. So it would only make sense that they would fight packs, they would hunt in packs, and they would hide.
And usually the belief is like there's always a watcher. And there's always somebody who's watching it. Seemingly they hunt at night, but there's always a day watcher and a night watcher. And if you see a squatch or you interact with one, most likely there's another one close by.
Yep.
And they also like migrate during certain seasons, like Whitehall, New York, which is like 3 hours from where I'm at. Every August, the amount of sightings goes way up because they go through that area, and it's believed that they're migrating. So that's crazy. And then going back to Sailorville, I remember going out into one of the boat ramps one night, and Jesse did like 2 calls, and literally three points around the entire lake, we got calls back from different points on the lake. So there's multiple, and they're together, and they work together, they communicate, and that's how they stay hidden, is because they're smart about it, and they help each other. But yeah, that's...
You definitely have to go visit my cousin.
I know. I've always wanted to go out and try it.
Absolutely. Most definitely.
I'll have to take Kenzie.
Yeah. She'd like that.
Oh, yeah, she would. She might do that. She doesn't like paranormal investigations. I took her to Farrar, and she about shit herself, so...
Fair enough. Farrar's terrifying.
Well, she went into the auditorium, and she freaked out. She said there was too many of them in there for her, so...
Wow. Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
She's kind of sensitive to that stuff, so...
Yeah, gotcha. Oh, yeah.
She'd go in every other room, no problem, till we got to the auditorium, and then she was done for the rest of the night.
Wow. Holy cow. That's crazy.
But yeah, she's really into this Bigfoot, so maybe we could get her talked into going out in the woods with us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what's the best part about Saylorville, and that's a great place to start, is because the bike trails all around it are open 24 hours a day, and the park rangers out there are totally cool, and they totally are about it. They think it's awesome. And so you can literally go out there in the middle of the night and just walk these bike trails. You don't even have to gear up for trudging through the middle of the woods. And you can look for Bigfoot. You can search for Bigfoot. Yep, absolutely. That's what's so cool about Saylorville.
Oh, wow.
Misty, we're coming to spend the night. Because just a block away from her house is one of the bike trails that head down to Saylorville.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Because they always take the dogs for a walk on that trail, so I know where it's at.
Absolutely. And to back up Saylorville, too, like, some people are like, oh, you guys are just whack jobs, you just hear this and this and that. My buddy, his dad was the chief of police in Polk City, which is right on Saylorville.
Right.
And he said in the 70s they used to get calls about people seeing large black creatures in their backyards. And this is coming from the chief of police. So it was something real. Something was going on, and it's still happening to this day. Yep.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, it looks like we have another question from Darren.
Our question guy.
Kim, do you want to ask it?
Yeah.
He says, "Do you think they can speak English?"
So one thing about their language is it's terrifying. And Seth, help me with what we refer to it as.
It's called samurai chatter.
Uh-huh.
And it's there's these guys up in Canada back in the day who did a bunch of recordings of the deep woods, and they caught them speaking. And it's like this high-pitched, super fast, like, jabber, and it's terrifying.
Yeah, it really is.
If you're ever curious, look up, I think it's Bigfoot Samurai Chatter, and it's literally like, to kind of give you an idea, it's like the old Chinese movies with samurai, and they're talking really fast to each other.
Right.
And that's kind of where the whole samurai chatter thing comes from. And it's just like this, like, it's super creepy. So yeah, it sounds ridiculous, but it's super creepy, and we've witnessed it before.
Yeah. Talk about your
but then there's also very true. But I will say there are some people who claim, and again, it's just a claim, but they say they've had Bigfoot speaking to them, like legitimate English words to them. So I don't know. That's something we've been dabbling in. It's just starting to just talk to them, and it's very, very kind of. We just haven't done it much, but I kind of want to dive into it more. But there are multiple claims out that they know how to speak English, which is getting to the far ends of it, but it is, possible.
Well, that's pretty cool. Anyone have any last questions before we wrap up?
Give them a couple of seconds.
I will.
Catch up. But yeah, you would think after all these people are chasing them, maybe they are picking up some of the English language.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
Just like me working with all the with all the Spanish, I'm kind of catching some of the words now. So who knows? Maybe they could.
Yeah, absolutely. So very true. So very true.
All right. I'm just scrolling here real quick. I don't see any.
I don't see any more questions, so we'll got to do our wrap up here and.
All right, we'll do our shout outs here quick. All right, so we had Darren, Shay, Matt, Chris, myself, Wolf was in there, Jen B was in there earlier. So thank you everybody who was in chat tonight, and thank you for everybody who was listening that was not in chat. Thank you, Seth and Jesse, for being on tonight. It was awesome.
Yes,
we learned a lot.
Definitely learned a lot.
That's what we like to hear.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a fun show tonight. All right, so next week, stay tuned to find out who we're gonna have.
Because they haven't got back with us yet.
So we might be talking about Granger next week.
Melvin, if they don't get back with me, I've sent them 3 messages in 3 weeks and they still haven't got back with me. So we'll see who we got. We'll have to let you know on that. So.
All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good night.
Yes, thank you so much.
Hey, you bet. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
You play the ending? Thank you for listening to REP Paranormal and Friends. Be sure to check out Kim Allison on Facebook at REP Paranormal Busters.